Yeah, hi friends. Today I will discuss about Angular components. So how to create Angular components. This is the basic thing for our Angular application. This component is nothing but it contains HTML and CSS and whatever the JavaScript methods and functions we write. so So as I said, before going to the Angular components, it's better to understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Those are the basic things and prerequisites. So now today we will create one Angular components. This HTML Angular component is nothing but an HTML plus that component class and the component metadata. This metadata I will discuss it, and the HTML is nothing but the tags which you write in the HTML page. That means the input type text box or buttons, whatever the view we see as in the browser, those are called HTML template pages. And the component class, this is the class which contains actual methods, functions, that means the properties. So here we write actual uh, methods and functions. So this class is the TypeScript class. So this TypeScript class, here we can see this class is nothing but a TypeScript class. So TypeScript is nothing but a superset of JavaScript, and it contains classes. This TypeScript class is a class. It contains methods and properties. So this TypeScript class will be converted to JavaScript because browser can understand only JavaScript. So this has to be converted to JavaScript. So we are not going to do anything. Whenever we run it, it will be converted. So now let us start. So now I'm opening Visual Studio. As I said earlier, this is the best tool for Angular application. So in the last class, we created one Hello World Angular application. That is what this is. So I have terminal is also open. You can to run the commands of an Angular application. We need to run it in command prompt, or we can use the inbuilt terminal here in Visual Studio Code. So here in the Hello World application, I'm creating a new command, new component. So for that we have one command. So that is ng generate component and the component name. So it will create a component with the given component name. So for now, I'm creating a component with the name greet. Greet is the component name. So ng generate component and the greet. So let us create one new component. So ng generate component. The component name is greet. So where I am creating here in the hello world folder I'm creating, because our application is in hello world. So see hello world, we have one application. See, these are the files of the Angular application. I will discuss it later about these files. For now, we are creating the component in our hello world folder. That means where our hello world application is there. So whenever we create a new, as last time we created Angular application with the command ng new and the hello world. That means it created a new Angular application with hello world. So in the same way, we are creating a new component in the existing application, that is in the hello world application itself. So whenever we create a new Angular application, it automatically creates all these files. So we have already inbuilt file, that is app component file, we have already file. So instead of that, I'm adding my own component. So now if I run this command, oh sorry, Can I running sources visual for more? Okay, okay. We have some error, so let us create in this in command prompt. So cd. So let me point go to our folder hello world. Cd cd o wld. Okay, now we are in hello world folder. Okay, so now I will create. So here greet. See, let us see what will happen. So if you look at the structure, there is no greet component. Now it is there. So it has added one more new component in the hello world folder, and subfolder is source src app. It's created one folder with the greet, and it, if I expand this, you can see the files. So this is the component. So let us go to our, so these are the four files which it has created by using our command. So this is the component file, and this is the HTML file, and this is the spec.ts is nothing but our test file. If we want to test any functions, then we write some code in this spec.ts file. And the CSS is nothing but a style sheet. Suppose if we want to change any, add any background color or any style sheets class, there we will add all this one. So now this is CSS is empty, and our greet component is HTML contains just one paragraph tag, that is greet works. That's it. And the spec.ts, this we can discuss this later. This is the test file. Okay, leave it. And the actual main component is the greet component. This is the component. Component is nothing but a class. See here, greet component dot ts. Ts means TypeScript. So this is the TypeScript file. This component is developed in TypeScript file. It will be converted to JavaScript. So because browser understand only JavaScript, so later you can understand it. So this is the component class, and these are the functions. These are the inbuilt one, constructor and ng on it. We can discuss it whenever we discuss about lifecycle methods. So leave it for now. And now this is the import statement. That means suppose we want to use a component. This is the component. So if we want to use this component and ng on it method, so for that we have to import this Angular. This is already there, and now we create a component, it will be there. So to use that one, we have to import these things. And this is the metadata of the component. This component at the rate component is a decorator, as the decorator, and this is the metadata. Metadata specifies, this is the HTML we are using for the our component, and this is the style sheet. See, we have HTML greet.component.html and the greet.component.css. So this component uses this CSS and this HTML. To view our HTML fields, we use this HTML, and for the style sheet, we use this one for this component only, not for other components. For this component, and this is the component. App greet is the component. So whenever we want to use this component in other components, actually, so there we add this app greet. Okay, and one more thing is, yeah, now we have generated the new component, and the component has created few files, that is whichever I have mentioned. So Angular is a single page application. framework. So what is single page? That means we have, whenever we create a new application, the basic application starts from index.html. So so this is the only page it loads, Angular page. This is the main page. So index.html, it contains one component, that is app root. What is this? App root is the existing component which is present. This app root is nothing but, here if you go to the app component.ts file, see we have selector app root. That means we are importing this component, that the existing app component, in our index.html. So whenever we run the application, index.html page will be loaded. So what does it contain? It contains in the body, this is the HTML code, and in the body it contains one component. What is this component? This component is app component. So how it is coming? App component, how I am adding this? If you add the selector thing, app root, in any other HTML page, that component will be loaded into that HTML. So now I'm adding this app root of the app component into the index.html. So application starts with loads index.html. So index.html contains this app root. App root is nothing but app component. I will repeat it again. So whenever we run the application, it loads index.html. This is nothing but a HTML page. This HTML page, in the body, it contains app root. What is this app root? This app root is nothing but app component. See, app component. So we are importing that app component into our this one. What does it contain? App component contains our HTML page. This is the HTML page. Actually, this is all the things which are created by Angular application itself. I haven't created anything. So this is the thing we have. It is already created, this HTML. So what it is exactly happening? I am showing app component in index.html. App component contains this app component.html. So our index.html contains whatever the app component.html is showing. It displays all the things in index.html, and I think you can understand it. So because app component HTML is app component.html, so app component.html contains all this data. So we are showing all the app component in HTML data in index.html. How we are showing? We are adding app root, which is app component one, in our index.html. So by this we are showing the app component data in index.html. So in index. If we run this one, npm start, see, now it is compiled successfully and it is running in localhost 4200. So see, now I have opened a browser in localhost 4200. So this is what this page is, nothing but app component page. App component page is loaded in index.html. So index.html is the main page. So it contains app root. App root is nothing but app component. App component has index.html, which these components. So index.html contains app component HTML. So we are displaying these all things from the app component. So suppose if I go to app component.html, see, Here I am removing all the things in the app component.html. I'm removing all the things. I'm just displaying my name. Hi, this is Kiran. So now it is successful. Now if we go see index. So index.html contains this one app component. So if you see index.html, it contains app root. And if we add anything, this is index.html page. Now if you go to browser, sorry, sorry, it is doesn't contain, I think. Sorry to say this one. See, now we are showing the app root HTML in index.html because we added app component ts file app root in index.html. So app root is HTML page is displayed in index.html. So like this, we are displaying our data. That means the whatever the component we want to show, we have to add it to the app root. So now what I am doing is I am adding greet component dot whichever we am going to this one. See, so whenever we create a new application as Angular by using ng new Angular application, it automatically creates this app component, and it also create the app module.ts. One thing I want to tell you one thing. That is here. If you see app module.ts, this is also created whenever I'll creating the application itself. So app component, this is created by default, and now we have created one more component, so that is also there. So whenever we create a component, it should be there in the app module, because in the app module we have one thing app component. So this is specified in the bootstrap. What does it mean, bootstrap? So Angular application starts from this bootstrap. So bootstrap, if we specify this app component, Angular application starts from this app component. So now we are seeing this app component in the same way. So like this, whenever we create a new application, new component, it should be imported in the module.ts. So it is already created because we have created component with this command. So this command adds these lines, it imports, and it also adds those in declarations also. So if we create manually by adding folder and files, then we have to do all this manually. If we create through command, Angular CLI command, that command itself will create all those files. That means all the 4 files, and also it adds this thing. It imports, and the declaration, everything will be done by the command itself. So that is the one advantage if we create through command. So this is the mandatory. So this app module.ts contains all these things. So I think you have understood this app module, about app module. So now what I'm going to do. So we have app component is already created by application, and now we have created greet component. Now what I am trying to do is I am adding our new component in that means the greet component in our existing component, that is app component. The main component, I am trying to add my created component, app greet component, in existing app component. So how we can do this one. See, app component. So now I'm going to the this component TS file. So as I mentioned, this is the selector. That means the component app grid. So if I want to use this file in any other component, if I want to show the HTML of the app component in any other component, so now I have to add this app grid selector in the component which I want. So for that, I will copy this one and I am going to I want to show this component. That means component inside another component. The parent component is nothing but app component here. Here I am going to the HTML. See, here what I am doing is in the div. I am just adding one div. So just I have added one div and I'm showing the app grid component in which one? In app component HTML. So earlier what it was done in the HTML page itself, app root is there. That means app root is nothing but an app component. Now what we are trying to do in app component, we are adding a grid component. So I'm saying this one. Now look into this one. See, we have grid works. So where it is from? It is from the our new component, that is grid. See, we have in the grid HTML, we have grid works, one paragraph with grid components. So I'm how it, and the app component contains app grid. So I'm adding this selector thing in where in our existing HTML app main component HTML. So from there it is showing. So HTML contains app component contains grid component. So grid component, how I am displaying in app component through this app selector. So, sorry, through selector, I am copying that selector and added into this. We have to show it as a HTML. So all the HTML, whatever present in the grid component, that will be displayed in this app component. You don't need to copy paste all the HTML code. Just we can add select by adding the selector. All the HTML code will be added to the app component. That is what here it is. Grid works is from grid component. It is in app component. App component is in index.html. Right? Now we'll move to other things. So I think you have understood. As I said, Angular is a single page application because it contains only one index.html. Index.html contains the main component, that is app component. And app component contains our own new component, like that we have. So, as I said, component is nothing but it is a class. It contains properties and functions as well as HTML. That means, see, if we have here we have functions and properties, and I will discuss about later functions and properties. This class contains those things, and we have metadata. This metadata contains the HTML and the style page, CSS page. So this component we have to this statement is nothing but import statement. If you want to do any import to use our component and on init methods, we have imported these things. I hope you all understood about our components. If you have any questions, you can mention it in our in the comments section. So I will try to reply that one. Yeah, that's all from today. Thank you on this session.